Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. So a few weeks ago in one of my vlogs, I mentioned I had finished a sketchbook, which I've never done that before. I've always been like starting a sketchbook here and then start a new one even before I finished the one before that. Anyways, so I wanted to do a sketchbook tour today and take you along the journey of the last about 7 months or so. And then I also wanted to share a few pages from my new sketchbook so you can really see kind of the evolution of my style over, like the last 7 or 8 months. So let's get started. So this sketchbook I purchased on Amazon last year. It looks like a moleskin sketchbook, but it's actually by a brand named Paperage. And the pages are kind of on the thinner side because it's not made for mixed media, so it's made for pen, pencil, crayon, colored pencils, which at the time when I started this in October last year, I was working mainly with pen, pencils, and colored pencils. So back in October when I started this sketchbook, I did a graphite 30-day challenge on Instagram. So this is kind of like a study of graphite with the different hardness of the pencils I was using. And here is a study of a daisy. Then this is one day I went to my local coffee shop. I was kind of drawing whatever was around me. So some art supplies, chair, coffee cup, glasses, just for fun. Little hand lettering here and there. Hand lettering is still something I'd like to do more of. I know I feel like a broken record because I keep saying that. It's just not enough hours in the day yet, but definitely something I'd like to focus on going forward. Which, by the way, on the front of my sketchbook, I put one of my stickers, which is available in my shop still. There's a link in the description below if you're interested. This is a hand letter quote that I did last fall, actually. So here's more graphite studies of tulips. Then here I was playing around with more like a monochrome style drawing or doodles with this neon pink pencils, which I really love. I like the brightness and fun. At the time I was thinking I would integrate that in my work, but that's kind of, I've put that on the side, I guess. Maybe I should revisit that. This was around December. This is a piece I hand lettered. Actually, I have a post something on Instagram. I hand lettered it in red, and then I did this version in hot pink just for fun. I have this little plastic deer on my desk, and I drew it. This is colored pencils, and I went over with some pastels. So yeah, right around Christmas, maybe a little bit before, I bought some pastel crayons from Caran d'Arche, and I was just really curious of what that would look like, so I just kind of played around with it. And I think it's okay, but maybe it's like a rougher texture than I liked, at least at the time. Just some random doodles. Again, random doodle. Trying out those pastels again, and just kind of trying an idea for hand lettering. Very rough. It's kind of a rough sketch, which I didn't do anything with that yet. Then there's a pen drawing of a rose. I remember I did a reel on this one. This is inspired by one of my houseplants. If you've followed me for a little bit, you know I have a ton of houseplants in my home. And here I wanted to kind of try out the combination of colored pencils and graphite. And I kind of like the progression of it. The last few months, I've really been wanting to experiment with combining mediums. Then I think this was like a page of doodle I did on a random Sunday of swallows. I wanted to try different textures using pen, different ways to shade. And also I've been mentioning lately, or for a while maybe, I guess, in my vlogs that I'm interested in adding more animals and insects in my work right now. I do mainly botanicals. This is one day I was playing around with bear faces. So like I was just saying, I wanted to add more animals. Those look pretty cartoonish. I don't know if that's the way I would necessarily draw bears, but I was just trying out different things. Again, more bears. The bear is my totem animal. I feel very connected to bears. I don't really know why. And then, trying out, like, experimenting with clouds and things like that. More doodles. This sketchbook, more than my new sketchbook, is really full of experimentation in the last 6 months. This is actually one of the rare finished drawings in this sketchbook, and this is I think it's the only hand lettering, finished hand lettering I have in this sketchbook. I love this quote: "You are the sky, everything else is the weather." And I believe I made a shorts video of me completing this hand letter work, and this wasn't for any projects in particular. It was just me wanting to have a finished drawing with that quote. More study of graphite. I think I took a class, or maybe that was a book. Yeah, I think that was a book on botanical art. I was trying out some techniques of shading and learning more how to render light and shade. Another houseplant, and again trying to combine different mediums, so colored pencils and pen, which I think turned out okay, but not great. A random shell. Here again, I was playing around, trying out some pastels, different combination of color, and just trying textures. At the time, I felt that was like a really rough way of drawing, which up until kind of recently, I've been more interested with more true to life botanical art. So I was trying out something new. I was trying different pens. I think that's part of one of my vlogs, actually. This is the progression of the making of this sticker, this frog that says "I am an artist." So I first sketched some frogs in different positions, and then I kind of refined my sketch a little bit with like some idea of colors, and then how I would have the text. I think it'd be fun to have the lily pad as a palette, an artist palette. Yeah, so that's kind of the first sketch. And so in one of my previous vlogs, you can see the process I went through to make this sticker. I think it's in the vlog when I talk about how to set up a sticker shop online. This is another page of doodles. This is in pen. I use those micron pens. Another houseplant, and then one day I had it open as a inspiration to paint the same plant in a different sketchbook, and somehow some paint got on it. This is colored pencils, and it's a begonia. And again in colored pencil, another one of my plant. I believe that's a philodendron. Then this is a cardinal drawing I did. So I combined some pen in the dark areas of the drawing, and then this is pastel. This is colored pencil of a hyacinth, and then some random doodles. This is a drawing of a African violet. I think I had just bought a African violet and it was still blooming, so I drew it in pen. And I used a stippling technique to create shading and kind of more dimension, which is something I still use, but lately you might have noticed I've actually pushed it to the next level and I use more markers, darker markers, instead of little dots to create contrast. This is a magnolia. Now some of those drawings coming up, I drew as I was making reels or shorts, time-lapse videos. This one I really like. It's the different stages of a blooming daffodil, again in micron pans. This is a peony in micron pans as well. If you've been following me for a little bit too, or even on Instagram, you'll notice I love drawing peonies. It's kind of my favorite flower to draw. This is an iris. I really love how this turned out. So here I was trying to incorporate more lines instead of dots. Just trying out different techniques. This is, I can't remember the name of this plant. So I was trying to illustrate the same plant with pen, graphite, neon pencil, and then this is pastels. Another pen drawing of some wild roses. Then this is a drawing of a gardenia, again in pen, still using the same technique. Some lines and then some stippling to create more shades and dimension. That's another gardenia. This is a tulip. This is when I kind of started using marker to create more contrast. This one turned out okay, it's not great. But I was trying to get away from the stippling and try more line work just to get something different, a bit more contrast. Then this is a lily. That was right around Easter. Actually, I really like how the flower turned out. And those drawings, there are time lapses of them online, either on my YouTube shorts or my reels, or sometimes both. This was a drawing of a protea, which I kind of messed up the flower, adding a lot of markers. I don't know if you can see, but first I did some stippling and then I wanted to try adding more contrast, so I added marker, but I kind of ruined it. I still like the foliage, but I think the flower is just completely ruined, but that's okay. That's what sketchbooks are for, right? Just trying new things. Then cherry blossom season came along, so I started drawing some cherry blossoms. I started a drawing of orchids, which I apparently never finished. This is a drawing of, could this be gardenia again? I can't remember. Again, there's a time lapse of this either on Instagram or YouTube shorts. I really love how the leaves turned out. This is a drawing of kind of a weird looking cosmos. I think that's what I was trying to draw, but not super accurate. More cherry blossoms. This is a really rough drawing of some fuchsia. Then I guess I was playing around with pastels, trying the blue and greens. More fuchsia, again in pen. This is a camellia flower. I might have a time lapse on that as well. It could have more contrast, so I might redraw that. Here I was playing kind of with more like negative drawings, although I still have a little bit of shading on the roses. These are spray roses, by the way. This I really like. It's a drawing of a Japanese anemones, which are some of my favorite flowers. They bloom in the summer, yeah, I think either July or August. There's lots of them around here, and yeah, I think they're really delicate and pretty. They have like this pinkish color, and yeah, I was very satisfied how I worked the kind of shadows and different texture on the leaves. So as you can see, I kind of go back and forth with the stippling method and the lines, and yeah. This is a sweet pea illustration. Again, I was going back to stippling to add shading. These are garden roses. Then came the season of bluebells. So that must have been in April. Say, winter is really, really long here, so little flowers like that don't come up the ground till, yeah, at least April, I think it was. So here I was trying them out in, I think it's colored pencils, but then I did a full couple page of those bluebells in pen. I like how delicate they are, and I was trying to kind of evoke the movement of those thin petals. So I did a couple pages of those. I did this page, and then I think I have another page, yeah, here. And that's also in one of my YouTube shorts. Then another thing actually I'd like to add more into my work are crystals. So here I was kind of experimenting, drawing crystals with pen and graphite, trying different shading like with the stippling again, or lines. So that's something you'll probably see in my work going forward. Here again, trying some contrast with the bluebells and daffodils. This you already saw. This is a freesia illustration, which kind of came out not so great, especially this. I think it's kind of messed up. Yeah. Again, trying out more contrast with daffodils. This is a lily illustration. So as you can see again, I keep going back and forth with the stippling and the lines. This is a small illustration of a cutting of my pothos in a glass of water or a jar of water. Again, trying to combine colored pencils and pen. This is a blueberry plant illustration, and I was trying out some contrast on the leaf, but that kind of got messed up. And then those are another type of purple bells that grow around here. They're kind of a little bit bigger than those tiny little bells I was talking about earlier. And yeah, I was just experimenting. I find bells really hard to draw just because of the nature of their shape, and then some random doodles and things. And yeah. So before I end this video, I wanted to show you also the beginning of my new sketchbook, and you'll see kind of the difference. I feel like this sketchbook was very experimental and a lot of the same things. But with my new sketchbook, I've been trying different techniques and also adding a lot more color to my work. Again, I put a little sticker on in the front. This was a digital illustration I turned into a sticker. It's available in my shop. So this is an old sketchbook I've had for a while from Moleskine, and I had started a few drawings in there. Yeah, and then there were some pages that I had to tear off, that stuff I didn't like. But this really started May 14. So I had bought strawberries and I wanted to do something fun. So I painted some strawberries, I think with gouache or watercolor or a combination of both. There's a little fun YouTube shorts on the strawberries. I think it's also on Instagram. Then I started experimenting with adding more contrast to my black and white drawings. So here I'm using markers a bit more in leaves and things. And those are peonies. And then you probably saw that in one of my recent videos. I was playing with acrylic gouache and drawing in pen on top, which is something I really love and will be continuing to have fun with that. So again, adding more animals, bears. I don't know why I was drawing chickens, but that was funny. Cats, again, trying out crystals and of course plants and things. I wanted to work more on like mystical items. I did another page of those fun little like eyes. This was an attempt at like a small landscape, and then some more bears. I wanted to turn something like this into a sticker at some point. And then I drew a flower I didn't like, so I painted over it in acrylic gouache and then used markers. Those tulips you might have seen on my YouTube shorts, as well as these. I really love the simplicity of this drawing. I really went kind of minimalist. So those are tulips, and I use marker to add contrast. And then I got inspired to draw lemons one day, and using acrylic gouache and also using different colors to convey elements of light and shade, which is something I hadn't done before. So I was just kind of playing around with that. And I really love how that turned out. And then I wanted to combine again the black and white and the color elements. Here's another peony drawing. And then I was kind of doodling some of my art supplies. And then this also, you saw recently me work on this. It was inspired by a photograph of an old cabin that had trees grow in them. And then I decided to use flowers as the sky. And yeah, so it was kind of an experimental thing, but I liked how that turned out. Yeah, and then more like in the last few days of trying out some different textures, or how to convey different textures with pen, depending on lines and squiggles, or even just marker of this little forest. And then this tiger, again using acrylic gouache, and then drawing in pen on top. And then some plants, some of them are imaginary, just playing out with contrast. And this bird, this is pen, and then I colored it with colored pencil on top, which I really enjoy this actually. So I think going forward, I will keep working with acrylic gouache and some colored pencils and pen. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. So I hope you found this sketchbook tour interesting. It's really, for me, it's a way to document also the evolution of my style. And you'll see it's changing rapidly. I think going forward, there'll be a lot more color in my work, which I'm excited about. Yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, comment, share it with your friends, and I'll see you next week with a new vlog. Bye!